Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper. You'll probably hear sheep and cows in the background. It's what they do. Moving out of the city and back to the country gave us an opportunity to learn more about the seasons, the rhythm of life, how things really work. Learn more about what different wild edibles come about when, what to plant when to fish for what type of fish, and then there's things that aren't even just as much seasonal, but it comes into play when slight changes are made. We're like a lot of the country right now, which means we just had a lot of drought. There was a lot of time where there was no rain. Here we have two types of soil. A hard clay type soil, it seems, and rocks. And when things get dry, they really get dry, and then they really get hard. And it makes certain things in life more difficult, which is why if we can put off certain tasks till later, we like to. I remember, must have been the end of 2019. My oldest daughter would have been maybe 9 or so at the time. And it had been raining for a couple days, and she goes, "Well, Pa, you might want to go finish that fence." And I thought, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, it's been raining for a couple days. The ground is softer now." And I thought, wow, there's plenty of people who probably have no idea about that. But here, my young little daughter does. And that's just part of learning your environment. This ground is definitely a lot softer after the rain we had yesterday and earlier than it has been for a long time. In a number of our pastures here, I like to plant fruit trees. We've got native trees. I see persimmons and redbuds and different other good edible ones, but we also like to bring some different ones in. Peaches, mulberries, pears. This one's a pear behind me. And I don't know if you can tell, it got eaten back quite a bit. The reason it got eaten back quite a bit is that we have Jacob sheep and we have Dexter cattle. Just a couple of the Dexters because we don't have a lot of property. But both Dexters and Jacob sheep are rather good at foraging, kind of like goats are known for, so they'll nibble on everything. If you look at this one, you can see a bunch of the branches are actually broken pretty much off, but they're still green and growing. If they continue like that and are still viable when they go dormant, I may have to snip some off, use them as scions, and then graft them maybe into a Bradford pear or some sort of rootstock. But yeah, the cow kind of trashed this one. Thankfully, it'll grow back and keep growing, and it'll give me a chance to kind of choose the shape of it a little more, but not what you like to see. And what I like to do is take some 4x4 woven wire, some T-posts, put them around these trees, and just fence them off for now. Part of the goal here is a lot like the peach tree that we have in our poultry pen. I don't know if you saw the video on that, but what happens is the ducks add a nice high nitrogen manure to the ground, and fruit trees like nitrogen, and the fruit tree grows up and gives them shade. They give it fertilizer, and then we get food, and whatever we miss, they sure love gobbling up. And I want to do something similar here. I don't just want to have barren pastures of just grass, you know, just things for the animals to eat. I also want to have shade out here. Planting some fruit trees is a good way to get that, and if I prune them up so they kind of come up a bit and then spread over, it gives an opportunity for the animals to do their thing beneath without really tearing the trees apart, and they'll be providing shade for the sheep and the cows. The sheep and cows will be providing fertilizer for it, and we'll get food out of the deal. And I like it too because I'm not going to have a property that I'm just mowing and weed whacking. If I was planting fruit trees everywhere, I'd have to mow my property and then come back and weed whack around the fruit trees. Thankfully, we have our favorite lawnmower ever. I got a full video on that. And that's just explaining how amazing having animals that graze like sheep can be, so that you really don't have to mow ever. And you have an edible lawnmower that reproduces after its own kind and fertilizes as it goes. Ours also give us meat, wool, milk. They're amazing. So now that the ground's softer, it's time to do this in the Ozarks and drive in my T-posts. And I will say that if I had a more time-sensitive project where I just couldn't wait for it to rain, I would have to just do it the hard way and drive them in by hand through the hard, tough, dry, rock-hard soil. Thankfully, this wasn't as time sensitive. I've been able to keep the animals out of this area since they kind of trashed them the once. I went, oh no, I didn't do that yet. Kept them off ever since, and now I'll just fence these in. But it's leaps and bounds ahead of how it would be if I was trying to drive these T-posts in when it was a dry and thirsty land, because it is so hard and it will not receive the T-post very well. No matter what, I'm probably going to hit some rocks anyway, but at least the soil in between the rocks can be worked a little easier, and this can drive through there quicker. This is still a far cry different. I'm like trying to put in a T-post in my native Wisconsin or something. It's softer, I guarantee it's softer. And except for hitting a rock at that one corner, it's not incredibly, I mean, it's labor intensive, it's tough, it's just not unaccomplishable. And it would have been a ton more work before this rain. I gotta try to get that other one going. And part of after I do these is going to be changing up the fence around my mini barn to create kind of a back pasture, then a middle pasture, and then the one up behind the garden. And that way I'll have like 7 all the way around my property that I can graze my animals around, and then have them still take care of the groundskeeping around the home, and periodically hit the driveway to keep that clear. Not sure how much that'll get into today, but I'll probably start that process. It's just so much easier if you're gonna be doing it by hand to do it after it rains here in the Ozarks. Probably might work some other places too, if you've got a ground that gets rather compacted and hard and kind of almost like a rock when it hasn't rained in a while. So something to think of. Just thought I'd make a quick video, share that tip while I was out here getting it done. I didn't just want to have that knowledge myself and have like my children understand that by the time they're like 8 or 9, and not have you guys know. So hopefully that blessed you. I'll see you next time. Papa out.
Good? Yeah. That's good, you know.